Hello fellow brawlers, I'm KairosTime, and it is time for another Brawl Talk. We're getting a new spooky environment, a spooky new brawler, new spooky skins, a spooky new game mode, and a competitive mode that is not spooky at all. Not spooky enough, guys. I'm just kidding, it was plenty spooky. Now, guys, you know me. I am dedicated to the game. I am dedicated to you guys. I went through Brawl Talk. I scrubbed through all the footage frame by frame to find out all the juicy details that I could give you regarding EMZ, as well as some possible balance changes and some other things so that you do not have to analyze it yourself. Most of you guys are probably already subscribed, but if you're not already, make sure you do subscribe and turn on that notification bell so you do not miss any future sneak peeks that I'm giving you, because guys, I will be giving you official Brawl Stars news for this update. As you can tell, guys, EMZ is a zombie, and while she's not a vampire, it looks like I was right when I said Mortis is getting a hot new girlfriend. Except that she kind of looks more like Frank's types. But I'm still holding out for a Buffy in a future update. Now, in case you're curious, guys, a quick Google search will tell you that EMZ stands for Electromagnetic Zombie. So I don't know why, but you know, whatever. She'll be a trophy road brawler, and you can unlock her if you've passed 8,000 trophies for free, which is awesome. At max level, she has 5,040 health, which is the same as Shelly's, Jean's, and Bo's health. Out of all the brawlers, this ties EMZ for 14th tankiest brawler in the game, which is basically right in the middle of all the brawlers. Now, EMZ's attack is kind of like a mixture of Sandy's and Barley's, because it's shaped like Sandy's, but it actually lasts longer on the field, kind of like Barley's does. It looks like there are 3 ticks of damage, or 3 phases of damage for EMZ's attack, depending on how long a brawler is in the poisonous hairspray. The first tick deals 700 damage, the second tick deals 840 damage, and if you're unlucky enough to be caught in the third tick of damage, you will take an additional 980 damage. That's 20% more damage for every previous tick of damage that you were in, for those of you guys that are math nerds like myself. And in total, this means that at max level, EMZ has the potential of dealing 2,520 damage with a single attack. For reference, that's the same amount of damage as an entire shot from Colt lasering you in the face. And that actually ties her with the 7th highest damaging attack in the game. And if you're curious, it puts her right between Leon at 2,464 damage and Tick at 2,688 damage. With 3 complete attacks dealing all max damage to a single target, EMZ will deal a total of 7,560 damage, which is enough to 3-shot every brawler in the game with the exception of El Primo and Frank. Rosa, Daryl, and BB could also survive if they happen to be shielding with their abilities as well. Now, here is an image of Sandy's range from roughly the same position compared to EMZ's range. It's really a tough call to tell exactly what her range is because the new environment kind of changes the way the map looks. By my estimate, EMZ's range is 1/3 tile longer than Sandy's, bringing her range to 6 2/3 tiles long. That's also 1/3 tile longer than Nita's and 1/3 tile shorter than Dynamite's, Barley's, and Poco's range. Now, of course, this is an estimation, and as soon as Supercell lets me release actual gameplay on EMZ, I'm going to be giving you all the details. I'm going to be comparing EMZ to every other brawler in the game with all the different stats, so you're definitely going to want to watch that. Now, this is a medium range, and it will make EMZ feel a lot like Sandy, kind of like a free-to-play version of Sandy in some ways. After some estimations and my best efforts, I think that EMZ's reload speed is 2.4 seconds, maybe slightly faster. This is on the slow end and would tie EMZ's reload speed with several other brawlers like Leon's, Terra's, Spike's, and Mortis's for 18th slowest reload speed in the game. 18th sounds like it's not half bad, but there are only 3 brawlers with a slower reload speed than EMZ's. So yeah, it's a slow reload speed, and she's going to be best for burst damage and not consistent damage. For her super, however, a massive area around EMZ glows purple and does 2 things. First of all, it damages brawlers in the area for 280 damage per second, and we learned how insanely strong that is with Sandy's star power before it got nerfed. Also, the super slows enemy brawlers down by quite a bit. I actually compared it to Shelly's slowing star power and Spike's super, and it actually looks like it's about the same amount of slowing. Now the super lasts for 5 seconds, which means that it can deal a possible 1,400 damage to a target who is trapped within it for the whole time. And the fact that they will be slowed down means that if EMZ chooses and EMZ is alive throughout the whole time, then they won't be able to run away from it. They're not gonna be able to escape unless they have some type of a super that lets them jump out or something like that. Now, as far as supers go, it's not a whole lot of damage. So the slow is probably going to impact battle more often than the actual damage. But just imagine EMZ has her super charged up with 3 complete attacks. She can throw down her super, and any brawler within a 7-tile radius around her will be slowed down and will not be able to escape EMZ's 3 main attacks, which will burst any brawler down to 0 HP with the help of the additional damage from her super. That's a lot of damage. It's crazy. Also, the fact that it can actually be used from behind the safety of walls is a huge benefit. One thing to actually consider though is the fact that it might reveal her location if she's hiding in bushes, or if she's invisible because of like Sandy super or something like that. So that's gonna be kind of interesting. But nonetheless, this super is really good. Now, how often will EMZ be able to use this super? I'm fairly certain that this is the beginning of a match, since all the brawlers all reach the middle of the map at the same time. I counted how many times EMZ's attacks hit an enemy before charging her super, and it looks like it charges with 8 ticks worth of damage, so 8 hits. This sounds like it could be a lot, and in a competitive match where brawlers are really good at keeping their distance, it's a pretty fair amount. But against players who don't keep their distance, or who group up together, EMZ is going to be able to completely charge up her super very frequently. And it's only 5 seconds. We're not talking 12 seconds like Sandy. Even against a single brawler, she could actually charge it up with 3 complete attacks. So yeah, I think EMZ is going to be a very strong brawler. As for her movement speed goes, it's always tricky to tell if the brawlers move faster from these clips. However, I actually took Carl, who has a normal movement speed, and I had him walk along this same path that EMZ did, or at least close-ish to the same path, and it looks like they walk at roughly the same speed. This would mean that EMZ has the same movement speed as most of the brawlers in the game, and yeah, the only brawler that she's faster than is going to be 8-bit. Now let's go ahead and talk about EMZ's star power. This is not confirmed, but my guess is that the additional damage that brawlers take for being in her attack for more than 1 tick of damage is her star power. 140 damage for the 2nd tick and 280 damage for the 3rd tick. Like I said, that's 20% more damage for each previous tick that a brawler has been in the smoke. I thought about the slow from EMZ's super being a star power, or like the 280 damage per second from her super being a star power, but her super only lasts for 5 seconds, and I'm very doubtful that that would actually be a star power, because without either one of those 2 aspects, her super would be really weak and yeah, just not very good. As for her 2nd star power, we have no information on this, but there are a lot of things that Supercell could do, and that they could do. I mean, they could do a lot of cool things too. Personally, I'd like to see a 5% damage buff to all friendly brawlers within EMZ's super range. Okay guys, now we've covered everything that I have discovered about EMZ. Let's now talk about everything coming in the update, starting out with what I'm most excited about: an actual competitive game mode coming to the game. Power Play is an event that you can only play 3 times a day. My guess is that every time you win, you get points based off of how well you did, maybe even just for winning, and the goal is to have as many points at the end of the season as possible. I'm assuming that you're going to be matched up against players that also have the same number of points as you, so the better that you do, the harder your opponents will become, until eventually it's like neck and neck, and you're like, okay, am I going to win or not? Who knows? It's kind of a toss-up. Also, we know that the #1 player at the end of each season will walk away with 50,000 star points, which is crazy. Every 2 weeks, a new player is going to have a golden bow or a golden mecha crow skin. Like that's crazy. I'm actually really excited about that, since skilled players will now be able to earn more star points without having to spend a ridiculous amount of time grinding every single season. But there's more to this than just that. Players can only participate once they get their first max brawler. Because of this requirement, my guess is that you can only play max brawlers in this mode. So that would mean that it would be beneficial for you to have several brawlers maxed out so that you can play different modes and on different maps and be better and better. Because the question is, how are the game modes going to be decided? Well, in this icon, we see a duo showdown icon for power play. And my guess is that every day the chosen mode and map is going to change. One day it might be duo showdown. The next day it could be siege. After that, takedown, bounty, brawl ball. All players from all around the world will have the same opportunity to play 3 matches every day for all of the events, and having a firm understanding of how to play each mode on every map with the best brawlers is all going to come into play. I still do have a lot of questions, like for team-based modes, will you be forced to play with randoms to make it fair for everybody, or will having friends and an active club give you an advantage? Also, how are the points going to be calculated for things between solo modes versus team-based modes? Maybe somebody's really good at solo, but they're not good at team. How is that going to work out? Also, what counts as having a brawler maxed? Do you have to have both star powers for a brawler, or will a player be able to participate with a brawler if they only have one of their star powers? These are the kinds of questions that I'm going to be able to answer for you guys in a future video. Now let's talk about Graveyard Shift. Longtime players will remember Life Leech. The glorious Life Leech, such a fun mode. It's a 10-man free-for-all. It's basically just like Showdown, but it was actually removed from the game because new players found it to be confusing. New players. But for those of you guys that understood the mode, it was so much fun. Basically, it's just like Showdown, where the goal is to be the last brawler standing, but everyone loses 1% of their health every second. The way to heal up is to damage enemy brawlers, and you heal as much as you damage to enemy players. If you happen to kill an enemy player, you actually fully heal up, giving you a massive advantage over your enemies. From watching the gameplay in Brawl Talk, it honestly looks like it's going to be exactly like the same thing, which is very exciting. If there are going to be other changes, aside from all of the brawlers being invisible, that's kind of weird. They're like all ghosts, you know? Spooky, I guess. My guess is that this is going to rotate with Lone Star and Takedown as an angry event, unlockable at, I believe, 1.8 thousand trophies. Then, of course, guys, we have the new spooky environment, which is just one more step toward confirming my massive Brawl Theory video about how all of the maps and all the brawlers are connected and interrelated somehow. It's really cool. I think my favorite part about this is the fact that some of the Showdown maps are now going to be in the new environment. Also, guys, we have Frank, who's getting some remodeling done to him. This is a torso shot of what he's gonna look like. Overall, it's pretty similar, but they just had to re-update his model. We're also getting a new DJ Frank skin. We don't have a full look at the DJ Frank, but this is basically what he's gonna look like. Also, if you haven't already bought Caveman Frank, you might want to. We don't know if they're making any upgrades to it or anything like that, but if they do, you don't want to miss out on a chance to save some gems on, you know, like El Primo skins. That was pretty cool. Now they're also coming out with Night Witch Shelly. Nope, just Witch Shelly, sorry. Werewolf Leon, Piper Calavera. I don't even know what that is, but it's cool looking. And my personal favorite, Dark Knight Jesse, which will be a star point skin. Oh man, they did not show the dragon. I hope the dragon is like black and breathes epic fire. I also know we're getting some balance changes. First of all, it looks like Daryl is getting a buff. It looks like his Steel Hoops star power is getting a buff from 25% shielding to 30% shielding. Additionally, it looks like we're getting a Penny buff to her attack damage by 7.1%. At max level, her main attack is going from 1,176 damage to 1,260 damage. My guess is that we'll be getting some additional balance changes, so obviously you're gonna wanna stay tuned for that. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm so stoked for this update. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Competitive gameplay, yes. Love this, and I'm sure you guys are stoked for this as well. Don't forget to subscribe for more official news on this update, and let me know what you are most excited for in the comment section, guys. For now, this is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in Brawl Stars.